Welcome to A1 Storyteller, where the unheard are finally heard, where justice isn't just a dream, it's a reckoning. Here, we tell stories that shake the system, stories that punch through prejudice and rise above silence. If this is your first time here, prepare to be moved. Hoo. And if you've been riding with us, you already know this is where the truth hits hard. Today's story is one you won't forget. It's about a woman, a black woman, glowing with life and carrying one inside her. A woman minding her business, walking home from a doctor's appointment when hate came rolling through her like a freight train on two wheels. A police officer on a bike full of ego, anger, and racism. He didn't just hit her physically. He hit her with the full weight of every stereotype and every bit of disrespect that too many black women endure every single day. He thought she was just another face to shove aside, another body to intimidate, another voice he could silence. But what he didn't know was who she really was. What started as an unprovoked assault would soon explode into a national firestorm. Because this woman, she wasn't just someone's daughter. She wasn't just a pregnant lady on a sidewalk. She was a warrior in disguise. A soldier with medals you'd never see. A protector of the very country that officer wore a badge to serve. And now she's done staying silent. This story will make you angry. It'll make you cheer. And by the end, it'll remind you why we never underestimate a quiet storm. Get ready for a journey of pain, power, and pure justice. This is Racist Cop Hits Black Pregnant Lady with Bike, Unaware Who She Really Is. Right here, right now. Only on A1 Storyteller. It was a warm spring afternoon in downtown Atlanta, Georgia. People were out enjoying the sunshine, grabbing iced lattes, chatting on sidewalks, and hurrying between errands. Among them walked Jasmine Carter, a radiant black woman in her third trimester, glowing not just from her pregnancy, but from the strength and serenity she carried within. Jasmine, 32 years old, wore a simple maxi dress, her natural curls bouncing gently with each step. She held a small bag of groceries in one hand and her phone in the other, glancing down briefly to check a message. She had just left her appointment and was heading to the bus stop near Midtown Park. Life was good. She had just received news that her baby was strong, healthy, and growing beautifully. Then it happened. Out of nowhere, a police bicycle sped toward the sidewalk with no warning. The officer riding it, Officer Chad Rickman, a tall, pale, and bulky man in his 40s, seemed annoyed by the crowd and aggressively rang his bell without slowing down. People stepped aside quickly, but Jasmine, with her slowed mobility, couldn't move fast enough. Ahem. The front wheel of the bike slammed into Jasmine's side, knocking her off balance. She stumbled and fell hard onto the pavement, gasping in pain. Her groceries scattered everywhere. The crowd gasped. My God, she's pregnant, someone shouted. Officer Rickman didn't even dismount his bike. He just looked down at her, then scoffed. Shouldn't be blocking the sidewalk, lady. Blood trickled from Jasmine's elbow. She tried to sit up, wincing in pain. You hit me. I'm pregnant. Instead of helping, Rickman dismounted with a loud grunt and began pacing angrily. You people always act like the victims. I rang my bell. Move next time. Jasmine's eyes widened in disbelief. You people? Gasps rippled through the gathering crowd. Phones came out. People started filming. A young man, no older than 19, rushed to Jasmine's side. Mom, are you okay? Should I call an ambulance? Rickman barked. A step back. I'll handle this. You've done enough, another woman yelled. She could have lost her baby, you maniac. But Rickman wasn't done. You better watch how you speak to me, he warned the crowd. I'm law enforcement. Jasmine steadied herself, her face now a mask of pain, but also control. Calmly, she looked up and said just 5 words. You don't know who I am. 2 days later, the video of the incident had gone viral. Hashtags were trending. #protect black mothers, #justice for Jasmine, #biking while racist. Thousands of outraged citizens demanded Rickman be suspended, but the department stayed silent. What no one, not even Rickman, realized yet was that Jasmine Carter wasn't just any pregnant woman. Jasmine was Major Jasmine Carter, formerly of the United States Army Intelligence Corps and current Deputy Director of Homeland Cyber Defense. Her record was sealed tight for the public, but within top-tier government circles, she was known as a ghost phoenix, the woman who'd cracked terrorist sleeper cells in Europe, neutralized a massive threat in domestic soil without firing a bullet, was T, and saved hundreds of lives through psychological countermeasures alone. She had access to systems Rickman couldn't dream of. Her word carried weight in federal circles, but she had chosen a quiet life after her service, focusing on family, community, and motherhood. Until now. While the city buzzed with outrage over the viral video, Officer Rickman sat smugly at his desk inside the precinct. His colleagues chuckled, watching the news reports roll in like some kind of reality show. To them, this was just another day. Another overreaction from a community they'd long dismissed. Rickman leaned back, arms folded. It's just a little PR storm. Give it a week. People forget. But not this time. Because someone didn't forget. Jasmine Carter had already contacted her private legal team. And they weren't just lawyers. They were a hybrid of top civil rights attorneys and former military prosecutors, all with ties to the Department of Justice. Jasmine had fought real wars overseas. This time, the war had come to her doorstep. That same night, Channel 6 News dropped a bombshell, an exposé digging into Officer Rickman's past. Rickman has been accused of excessive force 6 times in the last 5 years. 3 victims were black. None of the cases made it past internal review. However, leaked documents show troubling patterns of misconduct. Social media went nuclear. The city of Atlanta saw protests forming outside the police station by morning. Local leaders demanded answers. But the worst part, the full body cam footage had mysteriously disappeared. Unfortunately for Rickman, Jasmine had her own footage from a tiny recording device she always wore in public after years of working undercover. And hers didn't glitch. It caught everything, including his racist remark. By day 3, Jasmine was no longer silent. She held a press conference outside the mayor's office, appearing calm, collected, and dignified, even with a bandage on her arm and a visible baby bump. "My name is Jasmine Carter," she said into a sea of microphones. "I'm a veteran, a wife, a soon-to-be mother. And 3 days ago, I was assaulted by a man who is paid to protect us." Reporters fired off questions. "What do you want to see happen to Officer Rickman?" Jasmine looked directly into the camera lens. Justice. Not just for me, but for every mother who's been ignored, every black woman who's been silenced. I won't stay quiet, and I won't back down. The crowd roared with support. Behind her stood leaders from veteran groups, civil rights organizations, and city council members. People Jasmine had worked with for years behind the scenes. Now they stood front and center with her. Meanwhile, Rickman was suspended pending investigation, but he still thought he'd skate free. "She's just a loudmouth vet with a baby," he told a fellow officer. She's emotional. They always are." He had no idea just how wrong he was. As protests swelled, Jasmine took her story national. News outlets flew her out to D.C. She appeared on major networks, CNN, MSNBC, and even late-night TV. Not to talk about trauma, but to talk about systemic change. She spoke not just with emotion, but with facts, experience, and authority. What no one knew was that Jasmine had been drafted by the Senate Civil Oversight Committee as a secret advisor 2 years prior. She had already helped draft bills on police reform, accountability, and mental health protections. Now, she was the living embodiment of the urgency those bills represented. By day 5, hashtags became policy petitions. Over 1 million signatures were collected demanding federal oversight into the Atlanta Police Department, FARTment. The mayor couldn't hide anymore. The governor issued a statement, and the DOJ sent in a team. Rickman was about to be exposed like never before. It wasn't just his past. Jasmine's team unearthed real-time corruption in the department. Rickman had been running a side hustle selling impounded bikes and using fake citations to target black youth. His accidental bike hits had happened before. Only difference? None of his previous victims had the power Jasmine had. When confronted by internal affairs, Rickman broke. He yelled, screamed, blamed everyone else as a setup. She's making a circus out of nothing. But the receipts didn't lie. He was arrested by his own department. And this time, it was caught on camera. Rickman stood trial 2 months later. The court was packed. Jasmine, now in her final month of pregnancy, walked in like a general entering battle. Calm, graceful, and undefeated. She didn't need to yell. The facts did the shouting for her. The jury didn't take long. Guilty on all charges. Assault, falsifying police reports, destruction of evidence, and civil rights violations. Rickman was sentenced to 15 years without parole. As the verdict was read, Jasmine turned to the courtroom and simply nodded. It wasn't just about her. It was about all the women who had been ignored. 3 weeks later, Jasmine gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. She named her Honor, not just a name, but a promise. The city of Atlanta held a tribute in Jasmine's name. A foundation was launched under her leadership to train women of color in legal advocacy and civic leadership. Police reform bills, inspired by her testimony, passed in 2 states. Jasmine's story became a documentary, a movement, a message. Because when you strike down a mother, especially one with Jasmine's fire, you don't just bruise a person, you awaken a nation. You just witnessed the rise of a woman who turned pain into power and silence into change. Officer Rickman thought he was shoving aside a helpless pregnant lady. Instead, he collided with a force of nature. That's how we do it here at A1 Storyteller, where every story isn't just told, it's felt. It's felt. If this story moved you, hit that like button, subscribe for more powerful tales, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Because here at A1 Storyteller, we don't just expose injustice, we celebrate the strength that crushes it. See you in the next one.